Well, welcome everybody. Good to see you all. Thank you again for joining me. And as you probably know, we're in the midst of our 10 days of gratitude. So I want to start off by saying I'm very, very grateful for you all coming and sharing with me and practicing with me these various refreshers and other classes. It's really, I have to say, helps me in my own practice because it forces me to prepare but I'm always looking out for new things. And so that's one of the reasons why I like to do these monthly webinars, because it gives me something different to focus on and maybe present to you, and maybe another practice that you can take with you that works for you in your daily mindfulness practices. So today we're going to focus on just eat. And last month we did just breathe. And so we did a number of breathing techniques. So as I sent out in the, I'm going to mute everybody, but you'll be able to unmute yourself if you'd like to. I did send out a reminder that we would be focusing and using a raisin or some other small piece of food, anything. So if you want to go grab that, if you don't have that, that's what we're going to do for our first meditation, is the classic raisin exercise. Sometimes they do this in mindfulness-based stress reduction. It's sort of, I think, considered a classic. And it's a great way to introduce, really experiencing something with a beginner's mind. And we'll talk about that. And we'll do another meditation towards the end. I think I'll do a gratitude-based meditation since we are doing the 10 days of gratitude throughout the system. So let me move on to the next slide as we get going. So just to begin and to introduce the topic, as a quick pause, just think, what was your last meal or snack? Just take a moment to remember that, if you can. Sometimes people say, I can't remember what I remember what I did 10 years ago, but I can't remember what my last meal was. But take a moment and just remember that last meal, whether it was breakfast or maybe a mid-morning snack or whatever. Just recall that, bring it into your memory. And ask yourself these questions. What else did you do while you were eating? Often we are multitasking, right? We're getting ready for the day, or we're checking the phone or talking to family. What was it that you were doing while you were eating? Who were you with, if anybody? What do you remember about what you ate? See if you can remember what you ate and what you remember about the meal itself. Did you actually taste your food? Can you recall some of the tastes? Did you appreciate it? Were you able to take some time to actually appreciate and savor the food that you had this morning or your last meal? That's kind of the whole point of the exercise and the idea of just eat. So it's the whole principle of, I guess, what we would call informal mindfulness practices. When you're taking a walk, for example, just walk. When you're doing a routine activity like washing your hands, just wash your hands. You don't have to multitask. You don't have to let the brain go on its own and do all sorts of other things while we're doing all those routine activities. So with eating, and this is all based, by the way, got a lot of these on this from this website you see down here, eatingmindfully.com, and I'll show you. It's Dr. Susan Albers from Mayo Clinic. See if I can get this out of the way. Whoops. So awareness checklist while we're eating. So I'm going to present a number of things that you can do to help you bring your focus and your awareness to the present moment while you're eating. So first of all, lots of times we eat while we're standing up and we're actually moving around, right? So are you sitting? So this morning, were you sitting when you ate? Did you eat fast or slow? Were you mindlessly munching or noticing each bite? It can really be helpful to ask yourself as you begin each meal, how hungry am I? Or sometimes we just begin to eat, out of habit, whether they're the meals or snacks in between, and maybe rate your hunger on a scale of 1 to 10. So begin tuning into how hungry are you actually? Maybe even doing that right now. How hungry are you right now on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being very, very hungry, famished. 1 being not hungry at all. And when you eat, are you multitasking? Are you reading something? As I mentioned before, there's lots of other things that capture our attention, our phones, our emails. Lots of us work right through our meals. It's kind of become, unfortunately, the accepted practice. Or are you truly focused on your meal? Noticing what's going on. Do you have a rumbling stomach? Or are you bored, stressed, anxious? Those can, of course, affect our experience of the meal itself, but also our digestion and the whole thing, what's going on. This is also from eatingmindfully.com. So taste being an acronym. So noticing the texture of your food, being aware of the aroma. So as you can see, we're really drilling down into this specific experience of eating. What sounds are present, either while you're cooking or while you're eating? Sizzle, crunch, those kinds of things, depending on the kind of food you're eating. What's the temperature of the food, including whether it's spicy or not? And the flavors. Are you enjoying the flavors? All sorts of flavors, right? So that's Dr. Albers there on the bottom. And that's her website, eatingmindfully.com. She has a great newsletter. If you go to that, you can sign up for the newsletter. This is where I get a lot of this stuff from. So, and she has a bunch of YouTubes that are available. So very, very helpful stuff. Essentially what we're doing with this exercise and with eating mindfully is bringing a beginner's mind. And a beginner's mind, as you see in this quote, is in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few. So think about that. A child brings a beginner's mind to all the activities that they do. And if you notice a child, that's kind of one of the reasons why they are so, childlike or scattered. There are so many possibilities with that one little thing that as we grow up and we become expert in all sorts of things, we kind of narrow down that area of possibilities. We become so expert in all the things that we do, we kind of become set in our ways, if you will. So that takes out the idea of a beginner's mind. And so I think you'll see firsthand what it's like when we get to the exercise, which we're coming to shortly. Last month, we focused on just breathing, but I think it's a helpful thing to remember while eating to just breathe as well. Sometimes we just go from mouthful to mouthful without pausing, without really focusing on the breath or being aware of our breathing. So this can be a way to kind of just take some time to slow down, to breathe, perhaps notice your breathing while you're eating. So that's one kind of tip as we're going through a meal, a mindful meal. And these are just some other tips. So all sorts of things that you see in this graphic here, from starting on the left, drinking more water, not hurrying, trying to cook and eat in a good mood, feel the taste of the food, and maybe having some soft music in the background. How many times do we eat in front of the TV, and other distractions? How many times do we eat in front of the news? What can that do to our psyche and to the meal itself? Eat your favorite food last. Try, prioritizing your foods in different ways, shake it up a little bit, and not multitasking. So now I know all of this is going to be hard to do. I wouldn't expect that we can just do all of this for every meal, but perhaps taking some of these principles, and I'll talk in a minute about maybe setting some mindful goals for some of our eating. Sit at a real table when we do this. And this is all, I think, kind of a way to respect your body and your health. So when I send the slides out, you'll have a couple of links here. There is a link to a YouTube on a classic, which we're going to do. But if you wanted to revisit the exercise, there will be a link here to the Raisin exercise, and one to eating a piece of chocolate. So if you like dark chocolate or something like that, or something sweet, treating yourself with that, you can certainly try that with a piece of chocolate. So those are active links. This again from Dr. Albers, the 5 S's of, as you can see, she's got lots of great resources. And again, when I send these out, you'll see links here, but I like these. These are great things to be thinking about. First S is sit down. Second, slowly chew. I notice myself, I tend to eat fast, especially if I'm in a hurry, got to get somewhere, got to get things done. Just slowing the process down a little bit can really help. Savoring, we've talked about this before, savoring pleasant moments, but savoring the food itself. And again, you'll see, I think, in the exercise what this is going to be like. Simplify, so maybe simplifying the meal and the experience itself. That's kind of what we're doing. We're getting rid of all of those extraneous distractions. We're simplifying and just focusing on the act of eating and appreciating and savoring it. And smiling. Maybe she's suggesting creating a brief pause between each bite and smiling, or breathing, either way, kind of like giving ourselves a little bit of space as we do this. All right, so these are perhaps some goals. Actually, I'll come back to this. I think let's go, oops, I went too far. So keeping this in front of us. So I've asked you to bring a raisin or any small piece of food. It could be fruit. Somebody mentioned they brought a blueberry. I've got here, as I showed you before, I've got a walnut. That's another thing that you can do. I've got, actually I've got a yellow raisin. I've got a regular brown raisin, and I've got a craisin, a little bit of red. So just picking one for now. So if you've got a couple things in front of you, just picking one of those pieces of food. I'm going to pick just a regular raisin. So first thing we're going to do, this starts the exercise. Let's just begin by centering our attention and just notice our body sitting. If you are sitting, you could actually be doing this standing, that's okay. But just noticing the position of the body. Bring your awareness into the body. So feel the body as it's being supported by your chair or the floor. Feel your feet grounding you to the floor, that sense of connection, and just bring your awareness into the body as we start, as a way to gather our attention. And then breathe. Be aware of the breath for a few cycles. Again, just as another way to anchor our attention. Feel the natural rhythm and cycle of your breathing. If you want to take a deep breath or two, that's fine. That might be helpful to really feel the breath. And take that piece of food and just simply hold it in the palm of your hand. Okay? Kind of hard to show that with this, but just hold that one small piece of food in the palm of your hand. And for a moment, just close your eyes and pretend you've never seen this piece of food before, or experienced it, or tasted it. You don't have any idea what it is. You might even be like an alien coming to Earth, finding this raisin or whatever it is you're holding. You're not even sure if it's edible, but you've got this small piece of food in your hand. So now open your eyes if they were closed, and just holding it either in the palm, keeping it in the palm, that's fine. Just carefully examine it. Again, as if you've never seen it, using that beginner's mind. Take your time and just notice the size of it. You might even notice the weight of it. Not very heavy, but perhaps noticing the very tiny weight of this small piece of food in your palm. The color, check out the color, look at it closely. Mine's brown, but it's actually kind of an interesting shade of brown. Noticing the shadows, how the light hits it. You can notice the folds and ridges, the shape. Mine's kind of oblong, kind of got an interesting shape to it. So just really brings that your curiosity to noticing this food as if for the first time. Turn it over, maybe holding it now between your fingers and exploring the texture with your fingers. Close your eyes perhaps as you do this. Just really, what does it feel like as you roll it around between your fingertips? Now, slowly bring it to your nose and just notice any sensations that arise in the nose, the mouth, the throat. See if you can smell it, whatever it is. Take a moment to really tune in to what you smell. You might even hold it up to your ear and squeezing it a little bit, rolling it around. See if you can hear anything. Now lower the hand back down in front of you so you're still holding the raisin or whatever it is you're using. And we're going to slowly bring it up to the lips. We're going to actually just simply touch the lip. We're not going to put it in the mouth yet. Touch the lip and just see how the mind and the body experience the anticipation of this by touching the lips. Now gently put it in the mouth, maybe not all the way. I don't want you to chew it yet, okay? Gently put it in the mouth without chewing. You could even hold it between the teeth if you like, or hold it gently on the tongue. And just notice how it feels in the mouth. exploring all the sensations, feeling it with the tongue, maybe moving it around the mouth without biting it, visiting different parts of the mouth, towards the cheek, maybe under the tongue, just feeling the saliva that's generated. Now begin to position it for a bite. And when you're ready, slowly take one bite. And what do you notice? The taste, the texture, the juiciness. What do you notice? Maybe you notice the urge to continue. It's so hard to not take more than that, just one bite, right? You want to chew it up and swallow it. Just slow down. Now continue to chew slowly, noticing the taste, noticing the texture, the flavor, the liquid. You might even get a sense of smell as you do this. See how the tongue and the teeth and the mouth know exactly what to do. It's automatic, right? But even just notice the action of the tongue and the teeth as you're chewing. Gets into smaller and smaller bits. Getting ready to swallow, if you haven't already. And go ahead, slowly swallow. See if you can feel it as you swallow, the act of the swallow motion going down even the esophagus. The residual flavor left over in the mouth. What urge do you notice? Maybe the urge to have another, to keep eating. Notice what urges come up. Craving, desire, right? Now, if you like, before we move on, just kind of noticing, reflecting on that whole exercise. I didn't time it, but it took probably at least 5 minutes or so to eat one raisin. And if you want, as I continue talking, perhaps maybe eating another one, or if you have more, another bite of something. And this time you might compare it to the first one, slowly taking a look at it in the same way, deliberately seeing what it's like, going through the whole thing. But as you can see, it's quite a different experience. And what I'd love to hear from you, if you want to put something in the chat, or if you want to speak up, I welcome you to do that as well. You can unmute yourself. But just give me a little bit of feedback. What did you notice? What was your experience like eating that one single piece of food so slowly and mindfully? And if you're eating more, you might also begin to think about, where did this food come from? If it was a raisin, it was originally a grape. So how did it get to be a raisin? And before it was a grape, thinking about its cultivation. Somebody planted it. Somebody grew it and tended it. Somebody picked it. Somebody packaged it, washed it, sent it to market. All of those steps behind each piece of food that we eat. It's really quite remarkable when you think about it. So here's one good comment. Yes, very interesting how we sometimes even take eating for granted. Yes, absolutely. Very often we do that. Any other comments or thoughts? What was the experience like for you? Anyone? I know it would be pretty difficult to eat a whole meal like that. It would take an awful long time, but you can certainly see the lesson in it that if we could do some of these things that you see here on the graphic, begin to take more time and not take it for granted, and take some time with our meals so that we really, truly taste, feel the food, appreciate what it's doing for us, slowing down, not multitasking while we're eating. There's been lots of studies that have been done about the impact of, if you want to lose weight, for example, using mindful eating as a way to do that, because we begin to sense the cues of being full and satiated, satisfied more easily when we begin to tune in this way. So here we go again to this. So again, the 5 S's. These will all be in the slides. I'll send you these all out. And so again, sitting down, slowly chewing, savoring, simplifying, and smiling to yourself as we go through this. So the mindful goals, here we get another chat. So this is very interesting because I usually just quickly swallow my food to get to the next task. Exactly. I will have to really slow down and notice the food and its flavor and texture. Yes, I mean, I think that's it in a nutshell. Excuse the pun. But yeah, absolutely. The whole idea is to be in a really, bring our mindfulness and our awareness to zoom in to something that we take for granted, something that we do, something that we usually, as I say, if you're working through your meals, maybe that's one of the goals that you want to put up here. So maybe coming up with 2 or 3 goals to start with about your eating habits. Maybe it's not multitasking. Maybe it's eating more slowly, perhaps if you're with somebody, paying attention to that person, but also paying attention to the eating as you're doing it. So many things that you could really do. Perhaps maybe it's taking some time with a snack or a coffee break. There are a number of mindful exercises that you can do with making a cup of coffee or tea. From the whole beginning of brewing the coffee or tea, the sounds that are present, the smells that are there, to pouring it into the cup, feeling the warmth of it, preparing it how you like it, taking that first sip. Again, we do this automatically, right? On autopilot. And the whole idea is this is another excellent way of bringing mindfulness to something we do, most of us, 3 times a day and more. So maybe making some goals to yourself of what your intentions are, what you want to do, what you want to learn, what you want to try. And there are some more mindful eating tips at the bottom here. So this is something, I think I shared this the last month as well, but this is an active link if you want to read the whole article, Ways to Meditate Without Meditating. But, thinking about it, there's lots of other things that we do listed here that we can bring mindful awareness to as we're doing it. And so maybe thinking about what's 1 or 2 things that you do, from the very routine, mundane kinds of housework kinds of things to more creative activities, whether it be making music or listening to music or some other creative thing that you do, or just simply appreciating nature, being awed by nature and the world around us. So perhaps thinking about, maybe there's a mindful goal there too, to think about something that you can do and integrate into your daily life. So at this point, I'm going to do we'll do the gratitude meditation in honor of 10 days of gratitude, but just want to pause and see if there's any questions or any thoughts before I move on. Again, I do want to thank you for being here. I do appreciate, I know a lot of you are repeat customers, and I do appreciate you coming. I'll also remind you, we have a number of tip sheets and webinars that we're doing for the 10 days that you can all be found on Thrive. they're under live and recorded resources. If you go to the Thrive section of the intranet, you can find all those. So, okay, so let's do our last meditation of the session, and this will be a gratitude-based meditation. So take a moment to be comfortable, adjusting your posture, taking a posture that's relaxed for you, when you can be easily comfortable for the next, say, 7 or 8 minutes. And you can close your eyes if you like. Sometimes we like to close our eyes when we're doing this, but you can also keep them slightly open if you prefer keeping them open. It's really what works best for you, both with your posture and being your eyes closed or not. Might depend on where you're sitting. So taking all that into account, just finding a position that really feels nice and balanced and comfortable. Bringing your awareness to the touch of your body on your seat, feeling the weight of the body on the chair. Let's take a few deep breaths. And while you're breathing deeply, relax your shoulders, your stomach muscles, the muscles in your face and jaw, hands and legs, anywhere you might feel a little tension. That's actually another thing that as you eat, just revisiting that for a moment, maybe letting the muscles of the stomach and the lower part of the torso relax as you eat. So doing that right now, letting the stomach muscles relax, pelvic area relax. And then just feeling the breath as it moves in and out of the body, down through the throat, into the lungs, and then back out again. And remember, whenever you get distracted, just gently bring your attention back to the sensation of the breath going in and out. The breath is our anchor as we go through this. So maintaining this mindful awareness, take a moment to reflect on gratitude. What are you truly thankful for? When I ask that question, and you ask yourselves that question, what comes up? Doesn't matter, just noticing the first thing that comes up. And take a moment to just be with that. Noticing what it is, who it is. Why are you thankful for that person or thing that you're grateful for? Just reflecting on it for a moment. It's easy to forget, just like we take for granted eating, but it's easy to forget that we're alive and breathing. So think about the breath and how it sustains us, and the food and the water that we have, most of us have at our fingertips. Not everybody does have that so easily available. Think about the freedoms we have that many in this world don't get to experience. Think about the opportunities that are available to you and that have been available in your life. Think about your relationships. What support have you been given from other people at work, at home, loved ones, friends? People who have been kind to you and supported you. If you'd like, zero in on one person. Just think about one person who you're particularly grateful for. Someone who has supported you, whoever, a family member, a mentor, a teacher, a colleague, and why. Think how much we depend on the cooperation and support of other people. Now think about your home, your workplace, the food you eat, the clothes you wear. Again, all come from the efforts and hard work of other people. Maybe think about one thing, maybe one circumstance or something that you have that you're grateful for, your home or something that gives you warmth or comfort. And we just had our furnace replaced yesterday, and I think about, having the easy availability of warmth and coolness right at our fingertips. What would it be like without having that? All the modern conveniences that we have. Just take a moment to be grateful and appreciate it. Again, what would life be like without them? Think about yourself. Think about a quality of yours. Think about maybe something you did for someone. It doesn't have to be a big act of care, but any small thing that you did for someone recently. How it made them feel. How it made you feel. Maybe getting in touch with where you feel that in your body. Now, it's possible that you're not feeling so grateful at this moment, and that's okay. Just notice where you are and make a wish to feel gratitude and maybe to be more open and receptive to gratitude moving forward. And we'll just finish with some gratitude phrases. Just again, kind of give you some things to think about. I offer my gratitude for the labor and love of the many generations that came before me. As we reflect on these, notice where in the body you sense it. For the measure of health that I've been given. For the people I've been given to love, and for those who have supported me. For the beauty and wonder and awe of nature. For the knowing mind and the wise heart. And finally, for the work I've been given to do and for the gifts and talents I can express there. And so as we rest in these reflections of gratitude, just take a moment again to notice where you sense that in the mind, in the body, the heart. And just releasing the focus on gratitude, just bringing our awareness to our breathing, to our body, sitting, being supported. And when you're ready, opening the eyes as we finish that gratitude meditation. All right. Well, thank you again for practicing with me and together as a group. We're doing this together. It's really nice to be able to do that. I know we're on Zoom and it's not like we're in the same room, but it is kind of a nice feeling having people to practice with. So I thank you for that. And thank you for the comments coming through. So before we go, I just want to point out a couple things. This is 3 breaths for a pause. The second one is take a deep breath and notice the body. What does it need? So kind of tuning into that, what does the body need? Does it need to eat? Does it need to nourish itself? This is a good quick exercise. Remembering to be kind to yourself. So walking meditation is another one that you can do, kind of like an eating meditation, thinking of as we walk to various places instead of letting the mind be so busy and problem solving and analyzing as we're walking. Pay attention to the walking and where you're going and the movement of the feet and just nature if you're walking outside, and really just using it in the same way to just walk. Oh, I want to remind you, we do have a Smilo Wellness Workshop coming up Thursday the 18th, 4 to 5:15, and it's mindfulness in nature. Mark Coleman, who's a kind of an expert in this area, is going to be talking during this and leading us through an exercise. So there is a link here to register, and you'll get the Zoom link. So again, I'll send the slides out and you'll have these. Again, remind you about our phone meditations. We're still doing these if you want to join us on these live meditations Monday through Friday. And then we also have the app. So if you haven't downloaded the app, you can find the download information on our Achieve Solutions site right here. That takes you to the home page, and there's a scrolling banner on the top, and you'll see the M Life link there. So click into that. And then also, of course, we have guided meditations on that same website. And I've got all these classes, which is where I post this recording on a YouTube channel. So check that out. Feel free to subscribe. I do have some subscribers from work. So that's all things that we put up there from work, from different classes. And I'll leave you with this. This is again from the eatingmindfully.com. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be mindful when you eat. May you be comfortable in your body. May you be the most mindful you. So again, thank you so much for joining me today. I see the chats and I appreciate your comments through the chats. Thank you very much. Appreciate those expressions of gratitude. I'll stop the share and let me know if you have any questions, but thank you all again for joining me. I really appreciate your mindful presence. And as always, let me know if there's anything that I can do. If you have a particular topic or anything that you would like some information on, I'm happy to maybe point you in the right direction or whatever it is. So thank you very much for being there, and take good care. I'll stop the record. There it is.